Many games in the past have tried to take the stately nature of galactic strategy games that concentrate on the 4 X's: exploring, exploiting, expanding, and exterminating, and put a real-time spin on them. But usually the complexity of the genre makes anything other than turn-based design a messy proposition. Along comes Sins of a Solar Empire, a modest title that attempts the seemingly impossible and actually pulls it off.
Lead the way.
Anyone who's tried their hand at games like Civilization or Masters of Orion knows firsthand the depth that can be found in a game focusing squarely on those 4 X's. Simply put, there's a ton of stuff to consider at all times, and the notion that an average human being could handle all of this in real time used to be something we'd scoff at. But Sins of a Solar Empire manages to do just that. It's complex, yet accessible. Players take control of one of the 3 warring factions and go about exploring the galaxy, setting up colonies, constructing a battle fleet, and ultimately helping their foes meet an untimely end.
We've lost contact with one of our planets.
In addition to the enemy threat, there's a pirate faction that will periodically launch attacks on you or your enemies.
Reconnaissance reveals that a pirate raid is forming.
There's no story or campaign mode per se, but a wealth of specialized maps and game customization options, including a random map generator, ensure a fresh experience each time. The game supports up to 10 human players for some epic multiplayer skirmishes. The constant back and forth between managing your colonies and your ships is accomplished through a smart zooming system that zooms in and out of the map depending on where your mouse cursor is. Additionally, the Empire tree, located on the left-hand side of the screen, provides easy access to all of your colony's build queues and fleets. This way you can keep track of what's going on in the far reaches of your empire without having to take your eyes off an important battle. And the maps can be massive. Each star system can have upwards of 20 planets, and larger games can take place across multiple star systems. As you continue expanding, generating more resources, and upgrading your colonies, you'll be able to research new technologies that help both your military and your infrastructure. The 3 factions all have different strengths and abilities. For example, the humanoid TEC have numerous ways of increasing their wealth, whereas the alien Vasari can more easily master the advanced methods of space travel. No matter which side you choose to play, it'll take you some time until you completely grasp the tech tree. The ships are also vastly different, even though, at first glance, all 3 factions appear to have roughly the same roster of frigates, cruisers, and capital ships. Nowhere is this difference more apparent than in the cap ships' designs, which are customizable with all manner of special abilities, from railguns and extra shields to small fighters and bombers, as well as devastating planetary bombardment weapons. This is a lot to keep track of, and where Sins of a Solar Empire gets it just right is in how much of this stuff you really need to worry about at any given moment. In most RTS games, you need to monitor your battles all the time. The pace of combat in Sins is certainly slower, but it's the excellent fleet AI that really takes a lot of the pressure off the player. If you've built up a well-balanced fleet, they can pretty much take care of themselves in combat. This frees the player up to focus more on the big picture, and especially late in the game, multiple battles on several fronts. For players dead set on micromanaging every last ship, you can easily turn everything to manual and have at it. We wish you luck. But beyond mere ship combat, Sins of a Solar Empire succeeds through a mix of a brilliant user interface matched with a design that understands where parts of the game need to be more abstract. Building on any planet or from any shipyard is never more than a click or 2 away. Selecting and grouping ships is a breeze. Even economic info, like how and from where you're gathering all your resources, is presented in a simple, easy-to-understand manner. Sins of a Solar Empire takes many of the drier elements of 4X games like colony management and ditches the layers of pointless complexity in favor of a handful of simple choices that have easily understood outcomes. There are no tax rate sliders to adjust or hydroponic farms to build. You either invest resources to make your planet sustainable, or you don't. You either increase your trade network, or you don't. The economic strategy in Sins comes from choosing when to invest your resources in things like infrastructure, culture, military, or diplomacy. Yes, there's diplomacy in the game, and it's a little too cut and dried. During matches with multiple AI opponents, you'll often be given a task to do for a rival player, like supplying them with resources. Doing what they ask will make them more friendly, which can help you negotiate treaties. But this makes diplomacy a matter of waiting for the computer to initiate things. Because you'll probably be spending so much time playing with the clean, well-designed user interface, at first, you might not notice how nice this game looks. But zoom in to watch a battle unfold, and you'll be treated to some gorgeous pyrotechnics and beautifully majestic galactic vistas. Sins of a Solar Empire doesn't really need any of this graphical flash to be a good game, but we're happy it's there. The sparse voice work is well done, and the solid musical score changes dynamically depending on what's going on in the game. For an RTS, Sins is certainly near the top of the heap in production values. Fans of RTS clickfests might initially be put off by the slow, deliberate nature of the Sins of a Solar Empire, but players accustomed to the pace of turn-based strategy games should have no problem taking the helm. It feels every bit as deep and engrossing as a traditional 4X title. Riding the fine line between accessibility and dumbing things down is always a gamble, but here, that gamble is paid off handsomely.